Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. I am Jason, and John is here,
I
and we are ready to talk about some quarantine hockey.
That's right. The last time we saw you was right when all of this quarantine started back in March, so some things have changed since then. It's good to be back. It's good to be talking some Maverick hockey.
It is a small sense of normalcy for the two of us. I don't know about you, John, but for me, I was kind of without hockey and without the podcast. It was a lot of like, what am I doing with my life?
Yes, Jason keeps holding out hope that the NHL is going to have
They're coming back.
some sort of
They're
a
coming back.
yeah.
They're coming back.
Yes, and when Jason says coming back, he hopes that they're coming back like within the next few weeks here to
Mid-July.
do a special playoff format that we've been seeing rumblings about on the interwebs. So, yeah, absolutely. I know you're excited about that. Honestly, I would be excited to watch some hockey right now.
Yeah, outside of old games, which we've had the luxury of watching every Friday night.
Yes, we have. You guys, I've enjoyed
Which,
that. Haven't you enjoyed that?
we really have. I think partly because, and it'll be very interesting to talk to you about this because I'm sure your perspective to it is different. Having been to the games that they've aired so far, there was only, I think there was only what, two? There was two that we had actually seen in person. It was when they aired the first game at Baxter versus Air Force, and when they aired that big win against North Dakota. Otherwise, all of the games that they've aired were games either before we had moved to Omaha or before I really kind of started following. When we first moved here, I was still a DU fan in a foreign land. So
Yeah,
it was interesting.
yeah, you'd never had the opportunity to see the inaugural UNO hockey game against Manitoba back in 1997. I mean, you also
Right.
hadn't gotten a chance to see the CCHA playoff game from 2001
Right.
or that CCHA semifinal game from Joe Louis Arena that you and I just watched last night.
Right.
So that was cool. They basically spent the month of May, UNO did on their the Omaha Mavericks Facebook page, uh, Facebook living old games from the past Friday nights at 6 p.m. and it was kind of fun to be able to kind of relive some of those old memories. I know your daughters were astonished by the video quality from 20 years ago.
How things have changed from a technology standpoint,
Yeah,
right?
asking if games were in black and white back then. So
And where's the time clock?
yeah, oh yeah, some of those broadcasts weren't great, but it seems like maybe that was the last game we're going to get. That was just kind of an event that they were doing online for May. Now that some of the restrictions are being lifted and people are getting back out and doing things, maybe that's not going to happen. But are there some games? Because I know you were kind of ensconced in the kind of CenturyLink Quest Center era for UNO hockey. Are there some kind of newer games that you would have liked to have seen, Jason?
Uh, there was the big win at North Dakota. Alex Blankenberg was in net. That's a game that, Alex has helped the girls with hockey stuff, and so there's a bit of a connection there just because, it's a game that he played in, but it's really hard because the team hasn't had any monumental necessarily games that I can remember. Um,
Yeah, it's
there was the game I think Jolene was talking about. There was the game where versus Miami, Ohio, and the one. I mean, I know it's a high scoring affair, but I remember that Evan Winiger gets a goal, so I'm like, that would be a pretty fun one to see again.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna look up that game real quick here. I believe that was in the second half of the 2015-16 season. No, that was not in the second half of the 2015-16 season.
I want to say it was the first half of
It might have been the
16-17.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it might have been. It was a great game. I mean, it was great in that it was just a ridiculously fun time. And it's only been a couple seasons ago. But that would just be a fun one to watch with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, 11 to 7,
Right.
11 to 7, January 12th, 2018. That would be a hell of a game to watch.
What do you think about the first the first ever NCAA tournament game that UNO made?
Yeah, because I haven't watched that since I saw it in person back in March of 2006. And I know that we lost 9-2. I get that.
Right.
But it would just be fun to go back and revisit a game like that. It would also, the other one, their second tournament game, which would have been March of 2011 down in St. Louis, that was one where, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen that one since, and I'd love to have a replay of that. So,
yeah. And they didn't they do one of the tournament games from the year that they went to was it the Frozen Four year that they did one of those tournament games? Or have they done any from that tournament?
you know, okay, so in addition to UNO webcasting them throughout the month of May, ESPN had rebroadcast our NCAA tournament game against RIT, where the victory got us a berth in the NCAA Frozen Four in 2015. So we did get to see that.
And I'd like to go back a game. I go back, and I think it'd be fun to re-air their first NCAA tournament win.
That Harvard game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. There are a lot of great memories. I mean, I look at like the North Dakota game at the CenturyLink Center where Alex Hudson scored with, like a second left in the game, and UNO won 1-0 against North Dakota. That was fall of 2010 when that happened. That was November 2010. That would be a great game to see. I know there wouldn't be a lot of scoring action, but I'd like to see some of those games because a lot of for some reason, a lot of like the CenturyLink Center, Quest Center era, whatever they're calling it now era, games from that are just kind of all a big blur to me. So I don't remember those as well as I do the Civic or the Baxter Arena games. And I don't know if that's just because it was a big arena and Bridget and I sat kind of far away. It's hard to say, but there are a lot of those games there. Each year there was a period when UNO would have to go play one series per year at the Civic Auditorium because the state wrestling tournament was being held at the CenturyLink Center. And I would love to revisit some of those games, particularly one against Michigan that took place in 2006, where Alex Nikiforuk went coast to coast unassisted and got the game-winning goal against Michigan. Would be fantastic.
I wonder, what do you think about the idea of airing games where we don't win? Because it's kind of been the ongoing trend, I think, outside of the exhibition game that they aired, that they've won all of the games.
I wouldn't have a problem with that at all, Jason. I think there were some really good, close, hard-fought games. And again, I go back to that 2011 NCAA tournament game against Michigan in St. Louis, where, it was a close, hard-fought game. UNO very well could have won the game, but ultimately lost the game. A lot of fans are still seething about the call in that game that lost UNO the game. But that's one that I would definitely like to watch again. I mean, there's just a lot of these games that I wouldn't mind being able to kind of refresh my memory on, because I don't remember them very well, and they were great kind of seminal moments in UNO hockey history.
Yeah, there were some good DU games the past few years, and I know they've had our number, and we've kind of struggled against them at times, but we've had some close games that we narrowly lost. We've had some ties that we eked out, and it's a team that I think holds a bit of a rivalry for UNO, at least. Denver has a rivalry with everyone, so I don't know that they care too much, but on our end, it certainly does.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, if they wanted to, I remember this series very well. During the first season, UNO swept DU at the Civic Auditorium in the fall of 1997. It was a great one, and I remember one of those games aired on O2 TV because I I used to have a copy, a recording of it on VHS. I have no idea where that is, but they've got to have a copy somewhere. And so, because I know Jason loves DU, I'd love to have, one or two games featured where we swept DU in a series way back when. Back when DU wasn't very good. I know I've talked with Jason about that. He's like, we weren't very good back then. So
Every team has those years.
yeah, they definitely
do. The other one, and I don't know, you'll probably know right when I say this, but I don't remember. Obviously not. It's kind of one of those before my time types of
Sure.
things. But the first WCHA game, because I think it was that move when UNO came in the same conference as DU, and the snobby guy that I am, and the belief that WCHA hockey was better than CCHA hockey at the time. That would be the an interesting thing is that first WCHA conference game.
Yeah,
and I don't know who we play or if we win or lose.
Oh,
I just think it'd be a key moment in history.
I actually really remember that well. It was in the fall of 2010, and it was actually on the road. It was at Minnesota, and we actually got a sweep at Minnesota in that first series, and Bridget and I were actually up there for that. That was great.
See, that would be really cool because I think, I liked that they were doing it, and I kind of like the games, but I'm not one to focus only on games that we win, and I kind of like the idea of like these key moments in UNO history, right?
Yep.
And even if we lose some of these games, have the first CCHA game, have the first WCHA game, have the first NCHC game, the first game in the NCAA tournament, your first game in the Frozen Four. Those are the types of games that even if we lose, they're the building blocks to what the team is now and the culture and stuff. Gabnet talks a lot about, the history in Omaha and the city and supporting the team, and talks about the guys having to come in and, put the work in and that. And you see the stuff in the hallway when we take the tours for season ticket holder events and stuff. And you just really get that feeling that those are the things that kind of brought us to where we are now. And if this team is going to take steps to, be a contender in future years, it's built off of the games that we have watched, those early seasons where the program's being built and they're having success, and they, find a way to beat a team that they shouldn't have. In that Michigan game, no one anticipated that they'd even be there, let alone find a way to beat Michigan in that playoff game.
Right. Their very first season of conference play.
Right. Against, I remember that season in that I remember a lot of people thinking that Michigan was a sleeper team that year, that they probably had one of the better chances because of where they were in the seedings to make a run at the title.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of great moments. There's another one too, and this was in the 07-08 season, or I think it was the 08-09 season actually, where it was a triple overtime game against Alaska Fairbanks in the CCHA playoffs. Again, Alaska Fairbanks was not a great team that season, but it was the longest game in UNO hockey history, and it would just be fun to go back and revisit those moments because I don't remember a lot of those things. And as the seasons all start to kind of blend together over time, it's kind of fun to do. And one other note that was kind of fun about the chats that were going on the Facebook live feed that UNO had going was some of the ex-players who played in those games actually got on and were posting and interacting with fans. So it was kind of fun to hear from them kind of in a retrospective way. It was just, I thought it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't want them to do it like every Friday night during the off season, or I wouldn't end up doing anything other than watching hockey just year round, which Jason says is just fine. If you're watching hockey year round, it's okay. I mean, it's great, but I would never get out and do anything. It would just be every Friday night. Bridget would be live tweeting vintage UNO hockey games. So yeah, absolutely. But I had a good time, and we had a good time chatting with you guys and Facebook living with you guys during those games. I don't know what your daughters thought of it. I don't know if they thought that if they were bored out of their mind, but at least they got to see the old
I
days when UNO games were in black and white.
they did like the game where you got to see Gabnet as a player and uh, some of their friends. Some of my daughter's friends are the daughters of some of the guys that are on the team, and of course, we've talked before about
Billy Puglisi.
Billy Puglisi
Yeah.
coaching Lexi's team, and so I think that was the interest factor for them was, wait a minute, I know those guys. They don't look like that anymore, and I don't know if they appreciate it or not. But I know the girls really did appreciate kind of seeing, that part of their life because they hear about it in stories and they hear passings between parents and things about what their coaches did before back in the day type of thing, and so it was kind of interesting, I think, to a certain degree for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about the concept of doing it on Facebook? Because I will say that one of my complaints about this whole thing, as much as I appreciate everything that they're doing, I think it's a great thing that they did this knowing that hockey kind of got shortened and we didn't get to see the playoff games in Denver, and that I'm not a fan of Facebook's video platform, and
I agree.
it's
I agree with
a
you, Jason.
pain to watch and near impossible to watch on a TV, and it's like I really wish that they would just put it on YouTube instead.
Oh, I completely agree. As you know, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I would love for their live events to be on there. Not only would it be nice to be able to watch on the TV because you can pull up the YouTube app and it's going to look great, but it's just also easier to go back and find and watch later on after the fact. You know what I'm saying? It'll be easy. It's easier to find it in their uploads on their YouTube channel a lot of times than it is on their like page, because inevitably they're going to be posting the next few months and you're never going to find that again unless you just sit there and spin through their feed or look at some of their live Facebook lives and see if it's in there. But again, I don't know what other Facebook lives they're going to be doing. And as the months and weeks wear on, it's just going to be harder to find. And it's tough to find anything on Facebook when you try to do a search. YouTube is much, much easier. You could search that game and search the channel and you'd be able to find it in, seconds.
And obviously, being the social media guy that I am, and that I look at it going, they could premiere this, and then instead of having to run anything, they could just spend the time while it's airing, interacting and engaging with the fans in the comments on YouTube, much in the same way that the players did during that game, and encourage some of these, if you're gonna air a game, encourage some of those former players. I know they have the connections to jump on there, and I'm thinking, if they air that first NCAA Frozen Four tournament game or their first NCAA tournament win, like those are in the same year, right?
Right.
What Gensel's not playing right now. Penn, there is no playoffs. There's no NHL. Like, what if you could behind the scenes convince him to jump on there and say a few things on this YouTube stream, right? And engage that. Like, I just think people would blow up on that stuff, and it would be pretty awesome. And I think it's something they could throw together if they really wanted to. So
Well,
maybe they're listening to this and they can steal my idea. It's okay. I won't.
Well, as you know, Jason, it's great when you're watching a YouTuber broadcast live when they have the super chat going and people can chat back and forth and you could have a guest on there interacting. It's great. And then the cool thing about that is you can go back and look at that stuff later. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I would much rather it be on YouTube. I'm not a big fan of Facebook or Twitter for live video. So I'm with you on that. So if they can get the technology worked out, that would be great because it's a lot easier to share. Yeah, it'd just be great. And then we could embed it later on with like a little post event write up or something. So there's a lot of applications where that would make a lot more sense from a sharing perspective.
I have no idea why they did not do this, but I was talking to a friend who runs media stuff, works in media stuff for an NHL team, and we were just chatting back and forth on a messaging app, and I had said, how cool would it be if you played some big game from the past season or something and had one of the current players talk about like their memory of that goal, and you could have the replay. So right when the replay happens, you could have the replay of the goal come, turn down the audio on the announcers, and have the player in the little like pip box that's talking about, oh, I remember, so and so made this great move into the zone, passes me the puck, and this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The fans were all, we had just tied the game, the fans were loud, those types of things. And I just think, man, fans are going to be like, oh, I'm going to relive being at that game or seeing that goal or watching on TV because I hear them talking about it. And that's something you don't get, right? That's an opportunity to give you content that you wouldn't normally get in a given season, right? Because they're on the ice. You're not miking them up to hear what they're thinking and what's going through their mind when that happened. But to be able to kind of relive it with them and all of us relive it together, I think is a pretty unique opportunity. And you might as well take advantage of something unique like that and in the crazy times that we're in.
Oh yeah, take advantage of the technology. There are so many things that you can do, and there are so many opportunities for you in the future. My big hope is that they're capturing some of these games, they're recording some of these games, and they're not getting lost to history because they certainly have the technology to be able to do that. And it would be nice to, be able to revisit some of these new games down the road and not just depend on the games that were broadcast by, CBS Sports or Fox Sports or Midco or one of the outlets on TV that we typically end up on, but that the digital games are there. And I know that some of those are on NCHC TV, but, obviously they've got like seasons worth of games since the NCHC TV deal started, but whatever they can do to get the best quality they can, because there's an archival aspect to this, and I just think it'd be fun to revisit them and have good quality for people, watching someday on 8K TVs and whatever is after that.
Right.
So yeah. So speaking of teams that we've played in the past and teams that we will play in the future, Alabama-Huntsville. They announced
they are still on the schedule.
They are. Amazingly so, Jason.
Some fans out there, some listeners out there may not be aware of the history behind Huntsville and what has conspired over the last couple months. But I remember, I think, was it you texting me or
it was
sending
it was either me or Bridget. I think we did the group text. And there had been the announcement from the administration at Huntsville that they were cutting the hockey program. And the first thing you said was, "You're like, yeah, it was. It was 2011 when they announced they were cutting the program at the it was, I think, fall of 2011 that they were announcing that they were cutting the program at the end of that season. But the donors came through and they got a reprieve and they saved the hockey program. But a few weeks ago, they announced they were cutting the program again, that the team had been notified that this was it. Jason, skeptical man that he is, was like, is this really going to happen or are they crying wolf? So they had a
apparently they're crying wolf.
They had a GoFundMe campaign. They had a GoFundMe campaign. Funded it. Yep. They raised $870,000. Which pretty, and there was a group of former players that each contributed $125,000. The Huntsville hockey kind of alumni. So that was great of them to step up and make the commitment. They've, as is the case with most sports programs, there are always guys of means who are guys and gals of means who are able to do that and step up and make a difference. But what's your thought? Because I know that there's been varying opinions and a lot of consternation on the part of fans. I'm always very happy that, I like to see as many programs stay playing Division I hockey as possible since there are only about 60 teams. I don't want to see that number drop because I think it has implications for the NCAA tournament. I mean, you'd hate to get down to like 40 teams and be letting 16 of those teams into the NCAA tournament every year. Cause basically you're letting, almost half of NCAA hockey into the postseason,
For a long time, people have said that one of the issues with college hockey has been that such a low percentage of the teams that play are eligible for a postseason. And the remedies that I know have been floated around about how to expand the NCAA tournament would be killed immediately if teams lose. Like
right.
The league, the group of teams that play hockey has to grow. Otherwise, it's dying. And that's the part that I hate. I hate the idea that it's on a decline and not on an incline. I think that it's legitimate what they're going through. It's funny that it's the same team having to go through this again and again. But I really felt like they were kind of, with everything that happened, they were strapped. That program struggled over the last few years. I think that program needs some success, some big games.
They do, because it's not going to help on ice performance or recruiting when, periodically the word comes down that the administration wants to cut the hockey program. And right now, a lot of people are cutting a lot of things because of everything that's going on in the world. So, you hate to see that happen for a program. They're kind of an outlier program. They're not in a traditional hockey, geographic hotbed.
Which is part of their appeal and part of the need, right?
Yeah.
It's just like Arizona. The sport in general for, most of the mid 60s through the 70s, probably into the early 80s, it was seen as a Northeast, Upper Midwest sport.
Right.
Like if you came from New England, if you came from Minnesota and Chicago and Michigan, you played hockey, and that was understandable. And of course, it's Canada's sport, so you always knew that there were people there. But outside of that, you really didn't have anything. The thing that really, I know a lot of people who believe this, that the thing that really turned the key, got the NHL over the hill, was when the NHL got into Anaheim and San Jose and LA, and those teams started to have success.
Right.
When they had success, that was what brought the NHL into this mindset that this is a sport that I can enjoy, even if I live in a place that doesn't get snow, right? And so I really look at programs like Arizona and Huntsville and say, and we really need some Florida schools to come in. I'd like to see some California schools start programs and have this like Sunbelt Conference again.
Yeah, get into some of those larger markets that are in the warmer, that are
right.
larger non-traditional markets that are not in the cold, like you said, kind of Rust Belt and New England states.
Right. And so here's the thing: is to bring it back to Huntsville, if the situation with Huntsville, this GoFundMe program that they had to go through to make sure that they can keep the program going, if this is not a short-term Band-Aid for them, the change that I feel needs to happen is on an NCAA level. They need to get exposure on TV. And whether that's, I think the biggest appeal right now would probably be an ESPN Plus kind of package where
right.
college hockey games across the country air on ESPN Plus. And the schools can share some of the revenue from viewership of those sports. But you've got to get Alabama, Huntsville, and Arizona and those some exposure. And if they can't perform at a level that's going to get them to the NCAA tournament, you've got to get some of the stuff, develop the rivalries on a national level, and not just the people in Huntsville know that they don't like whoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would include the Alaska schools in that too. Yeah, exactly. Get them some exposure. I mean, the tough thing for Huntsville is going to be if they don't get a conference. I know that, early on when UNO started their program, they really wanted to be in the WCHA. And then they kind of got the cold shoulder from Bruce McLeod and the member schools at that time in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. So they ended up going CCHA, but for a while the talk was amalgamating with some of the independents like Niagara and Bemidji at the time that were in College Hockey America. And now, and you and I've talked about this over the course of the last few weeks about, the dissolution of the WCHA, which is what Huntsville has been in, and the kind of the rebirth of the CCHA with the schools that remain, minus the schools that maybe some of the more powerful schools in that or influential schools anyway in that conference, don't want to have. Kind of like when the NCHC formed, they left out some of the schools that they did not want to have in there. So you do wonder if Huntsville will end up being a cast off, and can they survive as an independent? I don't know if they can, and we might be having this discussion in the future. But I'm the type of person that I don't want to see schools go away, and I know you're the same way too. Just because I think it's important to have as many teams as possible playing the sport, because I think it increases the profile, and I also think, as you were talking about with some sort of a TV package like on ESPN3 or ESPN Plus, it's an opportunity to have kind of a multi-region appeal for some of those streaming and subscription packages that some of these sports providers are trying to do. So, so I'll be interested to see what they have. Bridget donated to the GoFundMe campaign. They also had a t-shirt campaign where you could buy a t-shirt. So she bought me one of those. The t-shirt campaign raised $33,000. And she got me one that said, "Hockey is my favorite season." And it's absolutely right. So I'm looking forward to getting that t-shirt. But I was happy to contribute, throw a few bucks their way. And it'll be interesting to see what happens this fall. I know UNO's scheduled to play them. I have a niece that attends Huntsville. So we were hoping maybe to go down there, but with everything that's going on, I don't know if that'll be realistic or not. But I would love to go down there and see what it's like. But good for them, and good for the people who stepped up and donated money, the former players, the fans on GoFundMe. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
And let's hope UNO never has to be in a position like that, right?
No, and UNO's had their financial struggles. I mean, back when they cut football and wrestling, those are the hard decisions that you have to make when you're a smaller school and you don't have the big football revenue. So I try not to be too judgmental of some of those schools, because UNO has had its struggles as well, and may again in the future. You just don't know.
So speaking of upcoming seasons, we've got some news, at least, on the 2020-2021 season.
Yeah, did you renew your season tickets?
I'd have to ask Jolene. I don't know if we have yet, but
yeah, Bridget's in charge of our tickets
soon.
too. Yeah. Well, I will tell you that the deadline is June 8th, Jason. So we are recording this on May 30th. So you got about a week.
All right.
To get that in.
It'll get done. You don't have to worry. It'll get done.
And the ticket prices did go down. So where we sit, which is in the upper bowl, kind of in between, we actually sit right around the red line. But that those seats that are kind of in between the goal lines at Baxter Arena were actually referred to as Upper Premier. I had to go back and I had to find the brochure from 2015 when we got our tickets before Baxter Arena opened. And those are the Upper Premier seats, and they used to be $295. And this year, by our calculation, it's $270. So the prices went down. We had heard that the prices were going to go down in the off season. So people got a little bit of a discount. Now, obviously, UNO was not anticipating, a global pandemic. So that might affect renewals. And you're as aware as I did that they had to send out some kind of clarification and some frequently asked questions a week or two ago to try and kind of give fans some clarity on what the plans are this season. So what are your thoughts about
I was surprised that...
Yeah.
I was surprised that they had to wait to send that out. I fully expected that when we got the email that said it's time to renew your season tickets, that you would get notice as to what is the, policy and process, assuming in the event that COVID comes back and you have to cancel games, or they get to a point where they say, okay, well, we're going to play the game, but fans can't come to the arena. I did not expect. There's been a lot of talk, at least on the NHL level and stuff. I know from having season ticket packages that there's some belief that in the 2020-2021 season for NHL that they may limit entrance to the arenas to only be season ticket holders.
Okay.
Because for those that don't know, the way that most sports kind of set up those ticketing is that your goal is never to sell 100% season tickets.
You leave
people think, oh, season tickets, if you could sell them all, you'd sell out every game. But the problem is that if you sell all season tickets, you're usually not going to have a full arena.
Yeah, Jason, they always leave some out for promotions and group sales,
Right.
because they have a person who's in charge of that. And then they also have some walk-up sales so that they have an opportunity to get some.
You always want game-by-game sales. Because in all honesty, like season ticket holders, if you've got, in an NHL season, if you've got 40 games to go to, 41 games to go to, you might get fatigued, and there's going to be some games that you're not going to be able to attend, and it's just the way it is. And so I don't know if they will do that. I don't know that anyone has decided what the fall will bring. I certainly know that, as far as I'm aware, no one has said that that's what they're going to do. It's just kind of one of the talks about that's a way, if we have to limit the number of people who are in the arena to still have fans in the arena, that's one of the ways to limit fans in the arena.
Right. And that's one of the things, like we run our neighborhood pool, and, we're talking, because we're limited on capacity currently to 25% of what the facility, is rated to hold. We would have to limit it to members, and right now we would limit it to people who had already been members of the pool who are renewing their membership, and we wouldn't take on any new family or individual members, and we wouldn't have any guests coming to the facility, just because we wouldn't have capacity to be able to do it. And with all the social distancing measures and things like that you have to do, it just wouldn't be feasible to manage that many people. And I'm sure that UNO and, like you said, the NHL are looking at various things that they may have to do. By the time October rolls around, maybe they won't have to do those things, but it's likely there will still be certain things that have to be accommodated because of that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things about upcoming seasons and what they're going to do, and it'd be interesting to kind of get your take on this. One of the things I heard was that concession sales would be closed off, so they wouldn't be selling no alcohol, no soda, no hot dogs, none of the fanfares, none of the, nothing. Just no, it's the game and the game only, and we're not dealing with food and drink.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And I using the pool example again, which I don't want to, but there are a number of pools here in the Omaha area, a number of the private pools. We don't know if the city pools are going to open this season or not. The private pools are either limiting concessions or closing off concessions, not having any food sales at all. And that, as we've talked about with all of these entertainment options, whether it's movies or whether it's sporting events, concession sales are a big part of it. And for sure at a sport like UNO hockey, beer sales are a big part of their revenue every year. So that would definitely hamper things at those hockey games.
So what do you think? Do you think that it's a reasonable thing to consider? With everything that do you think it's reasonable for them to limit or stop concession sales to something?
I mean, they're gonna have to do what they're gonna have to do. I don't envy them in that decision at all. And again, at this point, I honestly I know this is a very non-committal answer, but I don't know how I feel about that. It would be weird not being able to, get a piece of Godfather's pizza, or, get a pulled pork sandwich from the Oklahoma Joe's booth, or get the Omaha Steaks cheeseburger. Do you like how I got all of those sponsor names in there for UNO? Isn't that impressive, Jason? But yeah,
but you forgot Cold Stone.
Yeah, I know your daughters love getting Cold Stone and Dippin' Dots. Yeah, it would be really hard. I mean, it would. I got to tell you, taking our niece and nephews to a game. I mean, one of the things that they look forward to is probably maybe the thing they most look forward to is that when we take them down to get snacks, and we wouldn't be able to do that. One of the things that would do is it would definitely clean up congestion in the hallways, and in the concourse at Baxter Arena, because you wouldn't have to deal with that. But boy, that would be a very, very different experience. I know some people have talked about like social distancing in your seats, like having to sit 6 feet apart. Now, Bridget and I have 5 season tickets, so we can capably do that. I can seat in seat 1 in the row, and she can sit in seat 5. So it's about 6 feet apart, Jason. But I know some people talked about weird, like,
but the concern isn't you, like, you and her live together, so the concern isn't the two of you.
It's the people behind us. It's the people in front of us.
It's 6 feet between you and the person that has the seats next to you.
It's you guys who are in the row behind us, and walk by.
I think we could be 6 feet away though, because if the two of you sit in 1 and 2, we won't be even remotely close to 6 feet away from you.
But I mean, the issue is your daughters like to come sit with Bridget, so I mean,
they do,
yeah. So the distancing is good. And then some people have talked about, like, maybe people are seated like every other row 6 feet apart, so you would only be able to come to a certain number of games per season. And I'm like, if they're going to do that, why even have the season? You know what I'm saying? If that's the way it's going to be across the country, I mean, I
mean, that's rough when you're looking at season ticket sales, because you're guaranteed to these people is these are the games you're going to be able to come to.
Right. And that,
to then suddenly in the fall say, oh yeah, by the way, we know you bought season tickets, but you can only go to a third of the games that you bought. Yeah. I mean, even if they offer a refund, I think that's kind of that's a tough sell on people who are supporting your program.
It is. It's tough. And this is, again, to go back to the pool example, this is one of the things where, because our capacity is limited and we may have to do swimming blocks as opposed to they can come at 1 p.m. and swim until 9 o'clock if they want under normal circumstances. Now we have a situation where you've got people who are like, well, if I don't have access to swim when I want to come swimming, I want a discounted membership, or I want a prorated membership. And most of the pools are saying, the membership price is what it is. And, we've got maintenance that we have to continue to do, and we have to take extra steps and potentially have extra people on staff to handle some of these things throughout the season, at least the early part of the pool season. So that's the same thing UNO's facing, is what if they have to postpone a game or cancel a game for everybody? What if, in early December, they're like, nobody can come to this game because there's been an outbreak of some form in Omaha. And so, as a precautionary measure, we're not going to let people come. Do you refund that money? Do you not? I know UNO addressed that a little bit in their frequently asked questions. They said that if they had to reschedule a game, so for example, if they had to reschedule the exhibition from October to, say, January, you wouldn't get a refund from that, because obviously they would be holding the game. So if you could have made it in October but can't make it in January, they won't refund the money. But if, for example, they have to, just cancel the season or cancel a game, in those instances, it appears that you would get some form of a refund. But I would just be kind of a giant mess. I mean, what are your thoughts? If it's a hockey season, and even if it's hampered, and even if we're not allowed to go to every game, do you think they should still have it, or do you think they should just wait and essentially, wait and regroup and then have hockey again when the experience can be the full-blown normal experience where everybody gets to attend, buy concessions, all that stuff?
I'm of the opinion that you have to operate as if you can have a season in totality as advertised, right? I think that there's a possibility that those things need to change, but to try to predict what measures you're going to have to take right now, when there's so much you don't know,
right,
I think is just, I'd rather they kind of do what they're doing, in that we're going to have a season. These are the teams we're going to play. These are the weekends we're going to play. These are the times we're going to play. We're going to do this. And if for some reason something changes, here's our process for how we're going to do that. If the game's canceled, we refund your money. If the game's postponed to another date and rescheduled, then you get tickets to the rescheduled date. You know, and all sales are final. Like I get that I don't know a team out there that doesn't, you know, if you get sick, I'm sorry you got sick, but
Yeah,
that's the hard part for me,
yeah.
right? Like
Basically,
that's the one that gets me is the measures that they're going to have to take to make sure that there's safety inside the arena with temperature checks and I don't know, maybe the mandate masks. I had made the comment to Jolene at one point in time. I said, you know, they always give us something with our season ticket packages when we go to the pickup event in the fall and stuff. Maybe this year we get a UNO branded face mask to wear to all the games.
yeah, you get one for each seat you have. You know, they might end up doing that. I would have no problem if they required that people wear masks to the games. I don't think that that's a problem. You know, like you said, you have to kind of hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, you know? And I think the tough thing with season tickets is since they have multi-month payment plans, they've got to, you know, get people paying and renewing now. Because otherwise it'd be a giant mess if you waited till say August until you had more clarity on the subject. You know, I think you have to do that. It's just a fascinating time right now. For those who aren't don't live in Nebraska and aren't familiar with, you know, our local colleges and universities, some of them have announced that, you know, this fall semester, they're going to start August 17th and go through Thanksgiving. And that's going to be it. You know, they're not going to go into December. And, that's definitely going to change, you know, the dynamic of things. You know, the cynical part of me is like, you know, basically they're doing that because they want to get football season in before the Thanksgiving weekend rolls around, because it's such an important revenue source for so many schools. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things are going to change as a result. You know, I'm hopeful that things are significantly better by the time, you know, the school year rolls around. And, you know, this is a distant memory in the past, but gosh, we just, you know, based on a lot of the things we've heard and how many events are getting canceled, sometimes it doesn't seem that hopeful, but I'm hopeful we get to watch hockey this season. Because I have a 486 game attendance streak. I think it's 486. Maybe it was 488 after that last series against North Dakota. I don't know, but I'd like to keep that going, and I'd like everybody else to be at the games too, and not have it, you know, be some truncated or limited experience. But whatever safety measures they have to employ, I'm willing to participate with. Look, we've all gotten used to carrying clear plastic bags into the arena, and if I have to wear a mask with the UNO logo on it, so be it.
Yeah, the part that worries me though is your streak, and you're going to be you're going to be driving to every game with the air conditioner on in the dead of winter to make sure that when you pull up to the temperature check station, it doesn't come back at 99 point something.
I will tell you, the idea of temperature checks in that scenario worry me, because you never know if you'll have a faulty thermometer, or the temperature in the arena, or the temperature of my head when I take off a stocking cap. Yeah, it's going to be nerve-wracking walking into that. Now, I will tell you, I have watched some of these entities. I think it might have been Shanghai Disney, which has reopened, where they take your temperature, and if your temperature's high, they have you go stand in a little waiting area for 10 minutes and then take the temperature again. I don't know that UNO would be able to do that, but I like that idea, because at least, you know, at least my streak is still alive at that point for another 10 minutes. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know if they'll have to do that many things, if they'll have to do a temperature in the door, or maybe they'll just have you sign a waiver, that type of thing. But yeah, it's definitely unexplored territory. So I'm nervous, and I'm curious at the same time. But yeah.
The other change I think we have to talk about is the post-win celebration. And I had seen on Twitter that some people were other belief that while it has not been said so, it is for sure going to be axed, at least for the current season, this upcoming season. That the risk of the players being that close to the fans and having that many points of contact exposures is just going to be too much. And I mean, I'll have you chime in a second here on this, but personally, I think that they're right. I think that as much as I love that tradition, and I'd hate to see it go away long term, I think in the current state of things, to say at least for this season we're not going to do that is an okay thing, with one caveat. If they decide that's the case and they're not going to do that, I think they have to come out and say, this is the way that we're going to make it up. Not just the stick lift at center ice, but what are the players going to do to make sure that they keep that connection to the fans without having to be that close to or exposed to the fans.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we will see the post-game celebration this season. I would hate to see it leave permanently. You just never know. It's always easy to say it's going to be a temporary change, but then if you, like you said, if they do something different to have the fight song celebration, like for example, I had heard an idea when Baxter Arena first opened, because there's limited space down in the main lobby, that there had been talk that maybe the team would come out onto the ice, like they would put out the carpet like they do for the national anthem singer. It probably need to be a bigger like square of carpet or something, and then have the team do their fight song celebration there on the ice by the team bench after the game, and fans could, stay in the stands and enjoy that. So that would definitely be a possibility for something that they could do. So fans would still get the tradition and they could cheer and clap the team off, but they wouldn't have, the high fives and the kind of the close proximity. Cause yeah, we were definitely crammed in the lobby there, all, like sardines in a can. So
and there's no way that you're going to keep a 6-foot distance.
No,
The way you'd have to cut out 60% of the people that go down there to be able to maintain a 6-foot distance.
The good news, the way that life works, Jason, is if we don't have if we have a season here without the post-game lobby celebration, we will probably win more games than we have ever won at Baxter Arena. And we'll all be like, damn it, if only we could have that post-game lobby celebration, it'd be great. So that would be, I would love that irony. I would love the irony of, boy, when we don't have the lobby celebration, we have a lot of reason to have a lobby celebration. The team wins a lot of games. So I would like to see that, but yeah, I don't think we'll see it either. And that's kind of one of the sad side effects of all of this, because it's a great tradition. It's one of the best in college hockey. And I think it makes a difference when they have recruits into the building to see games. I think it's a special time, and it's something really unique that we do. So, but yeah, I think they could come up with another solution that would potentially work. So,
and the superstitious person that I am, my concern is that they take it away and, UNO does something crazy, like goes on a run and wins a national championship. And I'd be like, crud, now we can't bring it back next season because...
Well, exactly. Kind of like when we analyze how UNO does when Mike Gabinet wears his glasses versus when he doesn't wear his glasses. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jason. So, yeah, it'll be fascinating to see. But yeah, I don't think we'll see that tradition, and that's a sad thing, because we always have a great time with that. I guess we won't have to rush down to the lobby to see it. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right?
Well, so no concessions and nothing to hang around for. We should be able to get out of there PDQ, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, what do you and one final little thought here. What do you think about just limiting it to season ticket holders this season? I mean, it's not.
It would be interesting. Like, I almost think that I think, oddly enough, I think my opinion on the matter is different for my NHL tickets than it is for my NCAA tickets. Like, my NHL tickets, I'm like, I think that's a stupid idea. I kind of hate it because there's so many ticket grabbers out there, and I don't know. It just kind of worries me, right? But then on the NCAA side of things, I sit there going, man, it would be an interesting atmosphere because the people that go are the people that are going to be the loudest, most likely.
Right.
And B, if I can't go for some reason, my ticket's a premium finally. Because right now, getting rid of your tickets is incredibly difficult to do. Even when I go on and give them away for free, sometimes it's hard to find someone to take my tickets.
And Jason, back to the point about the season ticket package prices going down, UNO's been having struggles selling season tickets. So this might be an opportunity for them to retain some people and regain some people that had lapsed in recent years. So that's a possibility too. And I've got to throw this in there because Jason, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say to the people that are listening and stuff, these are all speculation things that we're saying. Like, none of this stuff has been announced, and
right.
And don't go saying Mavpuckcast told me that this is happening, because that's not at all.
No, Jason and I are just spitballing here.
We're playing the guessing game like everyone else, right? But here's the thing. If you're a fan of Maverick hockey, and if you're looking at next season thinking, will it or won't it? I'm of the opinion that you really need to consider where you sit with season tickets. And if you're on the fence, it's not far-fetched that these teams decide that the best way to limit the number of people there in the arena is to make it season ticket holder only event kind of thing. So if you want to see hockey and you were a season ticket holder in the past, or you've thought about getting season tickets, this really is probably the time to do so, just so that if you can see a game, you can see it, instead of you being one of those people that just held out and, well, now they're not selling season tickets and they're also not selling game by game. And do you really want to be at the mercy of what I want to charge you for my season tickets when they're finally a premium?
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I would also, I think, I would also add into that, even if the season's truncated, or if things go to hell and the season were to get canceled, I don't think that'll happen, but let's say that it does. I understand money's tight for people, but it's nice to be able to support UNO hockey because it's something that's really important to me, and I know important to you guys. We enjoy it every year. And when we renewed a few weeks ago, at that point in time, we just like we do now, we don't have any idea what's going to happen this season, but we love the UNO hockey team and we love going and watching those games. And so we're going to support it. We renewed our 5 season tickets. So I encourage the rest of you to do it too before June 8th. But no, I was going to ask you, Jason, a moment ago when I kind of interrupted you, because obviously I talk over you all the time. So that's just what I do.
That's what we do.
I think we have to talk about the fact that the tickets are going to be paper this season.
Yeah, we need to.
I'm not going to go on a ticket rant
about that now.
Jason thinks I may have caused, based on my rant during the hockey season this year about digital tickets, that I may have caused paper tickets to jump in the DeLorean and make a return from the past into the future. But it's interesting. They're not going to offer the season ticket holder cards, credit card type tickets with the QR code this year. They're going back to paper. Now, they did say in the message that they recently sent out that they had thought about giving people a choice between books of paper tickets for the season and the credit card ticket. And I kind of wish they had given a choice, because I would have gotten the credit card ticket. I don't know what you would have gotten. Because I'd gotten used to them.
I would have gotten the credit card because we use the digital. I'm a big digital guy, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm more than happy that they went away from it, and I didn't mind digital tickets at all. I think there were funny things about how the system was implemented, but they could have fixed those types of things. The concept was on point to me. So I'm kind of a little bummed that they're going back to paper tickets because I'm just not a fan of them. I don't think it would have been a good idea to offer both. I don't think it would have been a good idea to make that choice because I think there's normalized costs with both measures, particularly with technology. Like there's a cost to do the system no matter what.
Right.
And so you have to have that critical mass, and it's very, very difficult for you to kind of plan on that critical mass. I think the big thing that I haven't seen answered in the stuff that they sent out or anything that I've heard after that is, even though they're going back to paper tickets, can I still get digital ones so that I don't have to carry the paper tickets and then I can just, frame my season tickets on my wall or something?
Yeah, I'm assuming so, right? I'm assuming you can still load them onto your smartphone.
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, they wouldn't have to do that.
I see. The only reason I'm hoping that they continue to allow that, and I'm going to assume that they will, I'm going to be positive about this, is because I don't know if they're going to have limits on what you can bring into the arena. They already have certain limits because of the clear plastic bags. So if they're very, very stringent, not wanting to people to bring in a bunch of outside stuff, the question becomes, we like to keep, if we get a season ticket book, we like to keep the book intact. So we'll bring in the book and then scan the tickets in the book and then still.
We were the same way when we had them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not able to do that, I would really prefer to be able to just load those tickets digitally onto my phone. And I think you had told me that that it works through the wallet app on the Apple Watch. Yeah. So I would just do them that way, and then I wouldn't have to carry anything at all. And I could preserve my season ticket book, and it could be a nice souvenir like the many seasons of season ticket books that we have intact are. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's weird that they decided to go back with that. But we had talked about this before, and I promise, Jason, I'm not going to get on a big rant here, but I think, sometimes even though people, have smartphones and they use a computer in their job, sometimes I think they like the simplicity of a paper ticket. It's easier for them to give to somebody else than do the digital transfer thing. Although we digitally transferred tickets to people all the time, either tickets we were given or extra tickets that we had. And it was really no problem to do that through the system. But some people don't want to deal with technology that much, so maybe they felt it was just easier for people if they had a paper ticket to deal with. I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
I guess we will see.
And if they don't have a season, it doesn't matter anyways, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Well, is there anything else we need to talk about for the good of the cause?
It's been a while since we've talked. It's weird to think about not having a hockey season, not having the Mavpuckcast this fall. The good news is you and I are working on some technological things. We're recording a new way right now, which I think is probably the best way you and I have recorded remotely since we've done this podcast. So as I say that, let's hope that, the final product isn't a complete dumpster fire. So Jason's recording his track separately at his place. I'm recording my track at my house. So we're just going to have to see how it goes. But yeah, we've got, we'll have to do another episode here coming up, talk about our all Maverick team, which our friend Kevin Shreves keeps wanting us to do. And now that you've seen some of those vintage games, you have a little bit better idea about some of the stars on the UNO roster back then. So we'll have to do our all-time Maverick team and do that. And if we hear about the NHL playoffs, we might have to get back together and talk about that here in the next month or so.
Yeah, and I think we need to do where are they? I guess kind of where are they now?
Yep.
We just had the draft for the USHL, and some of the Nebraska UNO recruits have a place to play this fall, assuming that we have hockey. So we should probably talk about, another recruiting kind of thing.
And take a look at our
Those are episodes we'll probably
take a
work
look
on.
at our recruiting class, because we've not done an in-depth look at the class. And speaking of where are they now, a former Maverick who left after the 2018-19 season, Lawson McDonald, is playing hockey at Wisconsin Superior, and which is a Division III school, and he has a YouTube channel now with some fantastic videos that kind of take you behind the scenes of his training regimen and hockey trips. And his video this week, he talked about why he transferred from UNO. So there's some interesting details. And you can find, I wrote a blog post on his channel, and it's pinned on the Mavpuck Twitter account. So if you go to twitter.com/Mavpuck, you can find a link to that blog post, and it's got a link to his YouTube channel. He's got some great videos up there. I love that really genuine, kind of authentic behind the scenes look from Lawson, and he's reached out to both of us, and it was great to hear from him. And I'm sad that he's not on the roster, but I'm glad to be able to keep up with him, because some of those old Bulls, you don't always know what they're doing. So,
yeah, we talk about a community in Omaha around the hockey team and stuff, and I think that the support that I've seen from Mavpuck fans and Maverick fans in general kind of thrown his way, I think just shows that we really support the guys no matter how short their time was here or what they were when they were here. And he's doing a really good, I like his channel, I like the videos, he's doing a great job there, and we wish him the best of success at Wisconsin Superior.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of great guys come through this program, and sometimes things don't work out, but great players, some of the best fans in all of college hockey, and it's just great to be a part of it. So based on what we were talking about earlier, I'm sincerely hope we get to see hockey this season, and you and I get to rant and ramble on about it. But I would,
and if not, we'll have some random episodes here coming up throughout the summer and stuff to try to keep up tabs on where the guys are, and we'll do an episode around that all Mavs team. So keep an eye out for that. Keep following us. Keep tuning in and listening, because we appreciate your support.
Follow Mavpuck on Twitter, Facebook. You can find links to all those at mavpuck.com.
And in the comment section below.
And until next time, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.